My fiance found out that he wasn't my first choice boyfriend and now thinks he was just a backup plan. So he's putting off the wedding and throwing away a 7-year relationship. This all started a couple of days ago when my fiance Ryan and I were celebrating our anniversary. We invited a bunch of people, including one of my closest friends, Ellie. She noticed my fiance being affectionate toward me and made a careless comment about how she told me so that Ryan would be better for me than my ex, Andy. My fiance was a bit confused and asked Ellie what she meant. Back when I was in college, both Andy and Ryan asked me out to the same event. I'd known Ryan since high school, and we'd always had a connection, but we weren't a couple. On top of that, he went to another college that was a half-hour drive from me. Andy went to my college. His dorm was just a 5-minute walk away, and he was someone completely new. I began to feel that my relationship with Ryan wouldn't be exciting enough since we already knew almost everything about each other. With the added headache of being half an hour away from each other, I decided to go with Andy, despite Ellie's protests. I know my reasoning is beyond foolish. I never thought that decision had the potential to disrupt my future. Ryan was already hurt that I declined his invitation to go on a date, so I didn't want to make him feel worse by telling him that I was going with someone else. Not that it mattered much, because he stopped talking to me for about 6 months. During this time, it became obvious that Andy and I weren't right for each other, so we ended it. When Ryan and I began talking again, I realized how much I missed him and that he was perfect for me. So I asked him out. He was overjoyed, and that's how we got to this point. For the rest of the party, I could tell that his mood was off. He kept pulling away from my kisses and touches, and he responded to me with short, one-sentence answers. After the party, when I asked him what was wrong, he just said that he felt sick. For the next 2 days, he continued to be cold and distant. I had no idea what was happening, so I waited patiently for him to feel comfortable enough to tell me. Today, he told me the reason he'd been acting this way. From his perspective, it sounded like I had kept him as my backup or plan B in case my relationship with Andy failed. He said it was especially hurtful since we obviously had feelings for each other long before. Then, he added that he deserved to be someone's first choice. I initially thought this was just an insecurity that we could work through, but then he went on to say he's not sure whether he can see our relationship in the same light anymore, and that it might be best if we split up. I pleaded with him, saying we don't need to take it that far, and that we should consider counseling or even living separately for a few days while he thinks about whether this is what he truly wants. So far, he hasn't said anything except that he absolutely refuses to go to therapy. I can tell this is weighing heavily on him because he's been drinking more than usual. But I don't know what to say to make him feel better. We've had a beautiful relationship. He's never been overly jealous or possessive, and although neither of us is perfect, I couldn't ask for more loving, respectful, intelligent, and charming soon-to-be husband. I don't understand how all of that could come to an end over a foolish mistake I made 7 years ago. I don't know exactly what I'm looking for by posting here, but if anyone has any advice, please let me know. I realize it may sound foolish, but I love him so much that it feels like my world is falling apart around me. I don't know what I can do. Update 1, so a few people have asked for an update. It's been a little over 2 weeks now, so I'm not sure if anyone is even interested anymore. I think for now I'm just confused about what's happening. If anyone has any advice or has some idea of what he's thinking, please tell me. After what happened in the last post, he said we should put off the wedding while we decide how to proceed. That has to mean something, right? He used the exact words put off instead of cancel. And while we decide how to proceed, I think that means he hasn't decided we should break up yet. Maybe he'll decide not to get married, but to continue our relationship. I don't think he's ready to give up on our relationship yet, though. He's moved into a hotel. I know some people have told me to give him space, but I've decided that if even part of him is willing to stay with me, I'm going to do everything I can to earn another chance. I've been dropping off food, leaving notes under his door, and we've been calling every day, sometimes twice a day. Right now, we're both stuck in limbo. Most of the time, we talk about how much we miss each other, the plans we had, and me convincing him that he's my soulmate and that regardless of whatever happened with Andy, I know we would have ended up together. Then there are other moments where he calls in the middle of the night, having obviously been crying, and asks questions like, "What did he have that? I didn't. Did you love him? Was he better in bed? Was he better looking than me? Do you still think he's better looking than me? What does more exciting mean? Do you wish he gave you another chance?" He says that he wants to be with me desperately, but when he thinks about me, it's seared into his mind that I was always his first choice, but he will always have been my second. It hurts him that we had feelings for each other all the way through high school. But the moment I met Andy, none of that seemed to mean anything anymore, as if I thought Andy was worth my time. And he wasn't. It breaks my heart to hear him holding back his tears and trying to cry silently. But I swear I'll do anything to save our relationship, and part of that means not hiding anything from him. I begged him to reconsider going to therapy, but he absolutely will not budge. Some of our mutual friends are saying they're not sure if he'll recover from this, but I don't care. He hasn't told me to stop trying, so I'm not going to. I wish to God that I could go back and change the past, because I love him more than anything, including myself. It feels like I'm in some sort of surreal nightmare. Less than a month ago, we were lying in bed debating who we get to name our kids. And now, a seemingly insignificant mistake I made 7 years ago might wipe away the beautiful future I want with Ryan. All I can do right now is be there and hope that he gives me another chance. But I don't know what he's thinking. I know this isn't a common relationship problem, but if anyone has anything to offer, whether it's advice or even reassurance that things are going to work out, please, please tell me. Update 2. Before I get into the update, I want to say that I asked my ex-fiancé before posting this, and he said it's fine as long as I don't give away any details that could reveal us to more of our friends and family. I've always been the type of person who values other people's input when it comes to making big decisions, and he knows that a lot has happened since the last update. After we spoke, he went completely quiet for around 2 weeks for time to think. The waiting was almost unbearable, but he promised that as soon as he had an answer for me, he would contact me. I wasn't allowed to come to his hotel to drop off food, try to see him, or any sort of contact. When he finally called, the first thing that he established was that our relationship was over. However, despite our relationship ending, he still wants to be with me if I still want to be with him. We can restart our relationship completely from the beginning with a board wiped clean. In his own words, while you look back at our relationship and see something wonderful, I look back at in disgust because you lied by omission every single day. Initially, I was ready to agree on the spot. He insisted that I take the week to decide whether I really want this. His logic is that if I choose to restart our relationship from the beginning, now, he will be my first choice. Later on in the week, it began to settle what this would mean. I would go from fiancé back to girlfriend. I don't know when he is going to propose again. I don't want children until we're married, so I don't know how long that's going to be. In short, it would completely throw off the life plans we had. I asked for a little more time, and he doesn't want me to resent him in the future, so agreed to give me as much time as I needed to come to a decision. This is a better outcome than I expected, and maybe better than I deserve. But I would be lying if I said that I don't wish things could go back to normal. I've decided that I'm going to agree to starting over. It just really hurts that the past 7 years don't mean anything anymore. Not long ago, we celebrated our 7th anniversary. But this time next year, we'll be celebrating our first anniversary again. Thanks for the help. Update 3. Hi all. He looked through the post and wanted to answer a few questions that arose. One, if we do restart our relationship, he won't hold anything over my head. It'll be exactly as he said, and our relationship would start over completely. He's so confident of this that he insists I leave him if he ever slips up and brings it up when we argue. 2. Some people have said that being first is just an arbitrary construct, but that doesn't mean anything. Marriage is a construct, monogamy is in construct, etc. Something being a construct doesn't make it any less real or capable of inflicting pain. 3. A reminder that this isn't about me dating people before him. He doesn't care that about that. He cares that I knew him for years, that we had a bond in high school, and that he waited until we were in college so we could officially be a couple. But I picked someone else I barely knew. 4. It's come up very often that the length of our relationship should have some influence over his decisions. He says it does because it makes it even worse. I never told him about what happened during those 6 months while we were together. On top of that, I wasn't the one to tell him. In the end, we know everything about each other, so he can only assume that I consciously hid it from him. I'm not insecure, fragile, or rational. The fact is that our old relationship is now ruined in my eyes. It's ruined because she took away my ability to make an informed decision. 7 years ago, if I had known the circumstances of her return, I'm not afraid to say that I would have told her to go of herself. Now I'm giving her the option to restart our relationship with me knowing all the facts. This time will be equals.